Train Lover 16. The train, for its size, is the fastest vehicle on land, and the locomotives of Redcliff Loco Yard are the power behind the stations, industries and train lines that make up the well-renowned Redcliff and Guinea Bridge Railway. This is Redcliff Railway Tales. Shortly after the grand opening of the first phase of the Heychester extension, construction began on the second phase. A freight-only branch line with steep gradients that wound its way up Darthurst Vale to the Bluehythe State Mine, as well as a short loop line to serve the Darthurst Post Sorting Office. Said lines would take a lot of pressure off the mine and sorting office having to rely on the poor quality roads, and would be a massive source of income for the railway. But unfortunately, halfway through construction, there was trouble. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not, sir.
They can't do this to us! Not now! Not when we've just blown almost all our savings on the extension!
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what to say that will soften the blow. According to Sir Thomas, he and his estate have fallen on hard times.
The engines really aren't going to like this. Mr. Eric was soon at the loco yards. Morning, everyone. I'm afraid I have some bad news regarding the extension. Sir Thomas's bank, who's been one of our biggest financial backers for many years, has gotten into a bit of trouble. It has been discovered that they have only £100 million in assets, barely enough to cover the directors' bonuses, and therefore they're withdrawing credit facilities from many of their customers, including us. This means that by the end of the month, we must repay all the money we've borrowed from them, as well as 10% interest.
How much, sir?
We borrowed £7.5 million from them to help fund the extension, Linda. Add on the 10% interest, which in our case is £750,000, and we need to pay them back a total of £8.25 million. Unfortunately, the fact we've just blown all our savings on the extension means we can't currently repay the money. If we don't fully repay at the end of the month, the bank will bring in one of their accountants, who will be willing to do anything to recover the unpaid money.
For God's sake. So what does this mean for the extension, Mr. Eric?
Construction on the second phase will continue, as we've already fully invested in it, but unfortunately, the third phase will have to be postponed until further notice.
I really despise this financial nonsense, you know.
The news made Otmar so grumpy that he was very rough with the wagons and grumbled all the way to the construction site. He was pleased to see the workers when he arrived though. Despite the very challenging terrain the freight line ran on, construction still went smoothly. Two weeks later, the second phase was complete and trains started running to and from the mine and sorting office at the start of the following week. Otmar was primarily the one who ran the branch line, as his strength made him ideal for the extremely steep gradients and long trains. He would bring trains loaded with mining tools and dynamite up to the mine. Once the slate was blasted, he would then bring train loads back to Redcliff. However, he was still in a bad mood over the financial problems the railway now had.
They're screwing us over on purpose, and I won't stand it.
One afternoon, Otmar growled into the rolling stockyard with a slate train. Mr. Eric was there. Hello, Otmar. Still angry about our financial situation, are you?
Yes, I am, Mr. Eric. Why the hell do these twats feel they have the right to do this to us right after we make a major investment?
I know exactly how you feel, Otmar, and I'm very sorry it's making you angry. I'm about to go to the bank to reason with them, actually. Hopefully I can get at least one good thing out of it.
I highly doubt it.
When Mr. Eric arrived at the bank, Sir Thomas was at the door waiting for him. Ah, Alex, welcome back, my good man. Nice to see you too, Sir Thomas. Do come in. I've been meaning to talk with you for some time. Care for some coffee? Yes, please. Two sugars? You know me too well. Thank you. My pleasure. Now then, how may I help you? It's about your demand that we repay the entirety of what we borrowed at the end of the month. I don't understand why, after all this time, you've turned on us like this. We haven't turned on you. We've had to reassess our lending, and unfortunately, your organisation doesn't meet our criteria. But we have a steady income, and our assets are worth far more than our liabilities. Aren't they? I wish I could say that was true, Alex, but reflecting on your railway's increasing number of accidents as of recent, you're becoming more of a liability. Well, I can't deny that. But then again, our income has also been increasing, even more so now that the first two phases of the extension are complete. Yes, that may be, but unfortunately it's not enough to outweigh your increasing liability. Therefore, you must repay your debt. If I may refer you to section 4.1 of our terms and conditions? Okay. I accept the fact that you have the legal right to demand full repayment at any time. But we simply can't repay at the moment, and we can't risk borrowing the repayment funds from another bank in case they make similar demands to yours. You have to give us some leeway. Completely understandable, Alex. Look, I know you well. You're a good-natured man who wants nothing more than to provide the best possible railway service you can to the communities your railway serves. But if you do not repay on the due date, I'm afraid I cannot stop the process. However, to give you a chance, I will try to slow things down for you as much as I can, but that is all I can offer you. Meanwhile, Otmar had emerged from Bluehythe Tunnel and was coming up on the Darthurst incline, but he was still in a bad mood. At the junction for the branch line, he met Alan with a mail train.
My goodness, Otmar! I never knew you to be angry for as long as this.
I know, Alan. I'm sorry if it's making you feel down.
It's alright. I agree the railway is in a bad position, but I will say I am worried about how rushly you're riding, especially taking such dangerous cargo.
Oh, now that you mention it, I think I have been too rough with this train. If it explodes while I'm still coupled to it, it'll take me with it.
Well, the sooner you get it up to the mine, the sooner you'll get rid of it. The workers are sure to put right any danger.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you. I should be off now. See ya.
You're welcome. See you later.
Half an hour of winding his way up Darthurst Vale later, Otmar arrived at the mine. Thanks, Otmar. The next load of slate's all ready for you. Otmar, can you hear something?
Hear what? Wait, is that? Oh no, the dynamite!
Everyone get clear!
What the hell? Oh no.
Hello, Alan. Wasn't expecting to see you again this soon.
Me neither. Especially not in such, muddy circumstances.
Otmar's conductor, despite having a broken left leg, was able to pull out his radio and send for both the rescue train and Henry the helicopter.
Now who needs the rescue train? Mudslide at Bluehythe!
All prisoner grip, Dora.
Right, let's go.
Henry, this is an emergency. There's been a mudslide at Bluehythe. You are to help rescue any injured personnel and help re-rail any derailed engines and wagons. 10-4 control.
Okay everyone, action stations.
Colin and Caitlin reached as far as they could out to Otmar and Alan, but couldn't grab them.
Perhaps Henry could pull them to you two.
Say no more, darling. Henry hovered down to Otmar, and a chain was fastened between them. Then, with much straining, Henry began to pull them through the mud bath. Otmar's weight had already exhausted Henry when they were only halfway to the cranes. By Jove, I didn't think this would be such hard work. But soon enough, Otmar was within reach of the cranes, and Henry went back for the wagons. As the cranes were lifting Otmar back onto the rails, Henry was pulling the wagons through the mud. But suddenly, his engine and rotors began making strange noises. My engine's failing! He and the wagons made it to the cranes just as his engine gave out. He plummeted down into the mud.
Bloody hell, are you alright, Henry?
I'm fine, dear, just very cold and muddy. Just then, a rescue train worker came wading back through the mud.
The mudslide came right up to the cliff edge above the village. We have to secure the mud before it falls and destroys the village. Emergency services are already evacuating the civilians.
Well, Henry obviously can't help now, so how can we?
We could try laying a temporary track to the cliff edge.
I don't know about that, Colin. The mud might well be too uneven to support the track.
I know, but lives are at stake. It's worth a try.
You're right, it is. James, radio Redcliff, and ask them to send up half a mile's worth of rails.
Less than half an hour later, Linda emerged from Bluehythe Tunnel with the rails.
I really hope this idea of yours works, Dora.
The workers unloaded and laid them as fast as they could.
It's ready, Dora.
Alright then. Here goes.
Dora slowly inched the cranes onto the temporary track. Everyone watched in suspense.
They could get stuck or tip over on a track bit that week.
Otmar was half right. The rails sagged under their weight, and muddy water ran underneath Colin.
Oh, it's cold!
But Dora refused to turn back. They came closer and closer to the cliff edge.
Well done, you three. You're nearly there.
At last, they made it to the end of the track. The workers and engines cheered and honked.
Bravo!
The cranes and workers immediately set to work moving and pumping the mud and water respectively away from the cliff edge, before putting up a fence along it to prevent the possibility of the remaining mud flowing over the cliff. An hour later, the job was finished, and Dora and the cranes came back along the track and rejoined the permanent way. As the workers began to take the temporary track back up, Mr. Eric arrived to inspect the aftermath and rescue efforts. Wow, this is another fine mess we found ourselves in, isn't it, Otmar?
Indeed, sir. I'm sorry I caused this mudslide.
What do you mean?
Well, earlier today, Alan mentioned how my bad movies made me ride roughly recently. I think this caused some of the dynamite to break out of the containers and one of the fuses to ignite.
It's alright, Otmar. I don't think this mudslide is your fault. There's no way rough riding alone would break dynamite out of very secure containers. I have another theory. This railway has had an alarming number of accidents recently, and I think it's too unlikely that all of them were caused unintentionally. I think at least some of them were deliberate acts of sabotage.
You don't think this railway's under attack, do you, Mr. Eric?
I'm afraid that possibility must be considered, Otmar.
My god. What on earth could these saboteurs be planning next?
Who knows? But I'll make sure that precautions are implemented to try and foil their plans. Soon, Linda was towing Otmar back to Redcliff, as Mr. Eric's words were worrying him to his circuits. Almost as soon as they arrived back at the loco yard, Otmar was being repaired and deeply cleaned.
Mind my eyes!
Sir Thomas is right. Our safety record is rapidly deteriorating. If we don't find out who's behind all these sabotages and stop them soon, we're going to be in serious trouble. Oh, Mr. Eric, you're invaluable. You run so many trains to catch, and soon there will be more. Your railway's unlike any other, so I'll be selling my car. Oh, Mr. Eric, what a fine man you are. Oh, Mr. Eric, you're invaluable. You run so many trains to catch, and soon there will be more. Your railway's unlike any other, so I'll be selling my car. Oh, Mr. Eric, what a fine man you are.